Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Layer by Layer, the show about 3D printing and our place inside the industry. Today we're going to talk about 3D printed dental aligners, updates to the API, Tangled testing, and some email updates, along with customer service. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and pay the bills. This video is sponsored by Tangled Filament. Tangled Filament is our attempt to reduce the cost of filament down to $10 per kilogram made inside the United States. We're doing this by optimizing print processes and really focusing on how to make it better. So far, we've taken filament down from 22 down to 15. If you want to get a hold of some of that filament, it is available at tangledfilament.com, and you can have any color you want so long as it's black. So go ahead and check out tangledfilament.com. We'll get back into Tangled Filament in just a minute, but let's go ahead and go into the news. There's not a lot of news this week. The main news is 3D Systems has announced the roadmap for direct print 3D printed dental aligners. We actually talked about this a little bit last week, where Align Technologies, Invisalign, was expanding 3D Systems machines in order to do direct print dental aligners. That's a terrible name. Dental aligners are a terrible name. But anyhow, the 3D Systems is really focusing on providing that tech to them because they're one of the primary tech providers to, not Smile Direct Club. Smile Direct Club went out of business. Align Technologies, Invisalign, has been using 3D Systems for quite a while, but they print out the mold, effectively the shape of the teeth, and then they run a mold, or they mold them or vacuum form over them in order to create the aligners. They're trying to just print the aligners. And a lot of folks have been working on this for a while, but 3D Systems says they are wanting to expand focus and technology roadmap for the dental industry with a direct printing technology for clear aligners set to be commercialized by late 2025. The expanded portfolio will also include solutions for the protection, repair, and replacement of teeth, as the company aims to provide the broadest dental offering from any additive manufacturing solutions provider. So they're just dental products in general. Dental is the one area of 3D printing that is still growing and staying stable and maintaining high margins, and will forever have high margins because it's fully customized to an individual. So you can bill large numbers for that. You can make a bunch of money doing that, and we'll be able to for a long time. So it's the only area that has really grabbed full adoption and has a good growth curve to it because dental aligners are going to continue to take off. And there's a technology roadmap to where they can improve how it's done for a while so that they can actually create something useful. Motorcycle going by right at that moment. But anyhow, as it sets out its plans to grow the digital dentistry market, 3D Systems has signed a multi-year purchase agreement with a value estimated to approach $250 million, $250 million through 2028 in support of the indirect manufacturing process for clear aligners. Through its work with the likes of Align Technology, 3D Systems has built a strong reputation as a key supplier. Yeah, they're great, amazing, all the things. Helping to produce roughly 1 million patient-specific clear aligners per day. That's a bunch. Believes that this latest multi-year contract will provide a strong foundation to launch the next phase of its dental strategy. So here's the thing. Interesting math with this. 1 million patient aligners per day. They are a $250 million contract. That's about $80 million per year. $80 million per year. Okay, fine. 3D Systems is doing 1 million of these a day. Let's go ahead and be rough with it and say 200 days. So they're making 200 million aligners per year at a cost of $80 million. So they're making these for a little bit less than about 40 cents per aligner per day. That's very good. A bunch of that's an interesting story in scale. To such a degree that we should almost do a real 3D printed products video about that, because that's such a good demonstration of the scale, if this isn't indeed the number. That's napkin math, wild napkin math, but it's not unreasonable. Though, given the fact that those aligners, I believe, are a lot more than 40 cents a pop. I don't even know right now, actually. I should ask chat. The Wi-Fi won't work. I can't do this live on the podcast. But somebody comment down below what dental aligners cost per month. I don't think it's 40 cents or $1 or $5 or anything else. I'm pretty sure it's 20 to 50 at least, probably more. You wear them for a couple of years, $50 a month. That's $600, $1,200 over 2 years. Yes, that sounds about right because braces cost about $2,000. And Smile Direct, Invisalign and the rest of them have been about half the cost of commercial brands because I just read a book that we might talk about later or whatever else it was in direct-to-consumer brands where they talked about Smile Direct Club just a hair. Anyhow, 40 cents a pop, that's a very efficient manufacturing process. And given the fact that it is fully custom, I wonder what the downstream value cost adds are in order to support those margins. But anyhow, yeah, I believe it's like $50 a month for Invisalign. Oh, $50 a month, 40 cents a day. No, they don't adjust that fast. You wear an Invisalign for a little while, for a couple weeks, maybe even a full month before you get the new one. The economics are really good to such a degree that I either don't believe the numbers or the economics are just really good. But anyhow, so that's the news. That's the whole news. And that went way longer for a single news story than we generally ever do. So anyhow, channel updates. Yes, the channel. We have not been posting very much the last couple of weeks, partially because I've been traveling, partially because we're trying to revamping and getting our bearings and resetting. Working to bring on extra folks to help with the YouTube channel, and we're also rethinking content. So we're playing around with a few different ideas. So a number of those new videos will be dropping or have already dropped, depending on schedule and when this, based on when I'm filming this and stuff going out. I think one of the new formats will have gone out. Excuse me, I have the hiccups this evening. But the overall, yes, the YouTube channel will be morphing a little bit because. And it's worth talking about this a little bit for anybody else who's interested in YouTube. And I know it's a 3D printing podcast, but we're a 3D printing YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel is part of the story. YouTube, we've kind of hit a plateau in new subscribers and view rate growth. So we had a huge amount of momentum over the last year and up through to December, but then it's kind of plateaued. And whenever you hit a plateau, it means that you've kind of gone stale in some sort of a way. You've been doing what you do and you're continuing to do what you do, and now you're in this rhythm. So we're trying to break ourselves out of the rhythm. And quite frankly, we have really good content on this channel. It's great stuff designed for real 3D printed products, whatever else we do, the other series that we do. But those videos, the folks who are interested in them and interested in subscribing have already seen them and have already subscribed. So while we will continue to make those, we have to broaden the reach a little bit to different types of viewers who are interested in slightly different content while still making sure you guys are happy, but also, broadening out the content so the channel can continue to grow. So we're leaning a little bit into entertainment more, as well as jazzing up the educational components of the channel. We'll continue to leverage the expertise, the knowledge, the information that we have here as Giant Print Farm. But we're gonna tweak it a little bit and start to get a little bit more creative. Also, quite frankly, guys, I'm a little bit tapped out on time to where we need to explore formats that don't really have me host as directly, or are not as involved in like the writing process and that kind of stuff. So there'll be some readjustments in content, and we'll be getting to be pretty experimental over the next couple months or so. Continuing to produce normal videos, all this typical videos, but we will be diversifying a bit there. There's also just a lot of other projects going on. So YouTube's at a stable spot, so it's in a good place to do experimentation while also needing the experimentation. So bear with us as we try this stuff out, and it should be fun. I think a lot of these you guys will really enjoy. So anyhow, that's kind of the update for the YouTube channel and kind of content, what we're going to be doing and that kind of thing. Because we just need to, if you're not growing, you're dying. So you need to be looking at the next new thing and evolving continuously improving, putting a penny in the bank every day so that you get better and better and better. And that's what we need to do with the YouTube. We've hit a peak, a local maximum here, and we need to get through the trough and get back up to a new maximum. So anyhow, that's kind of the YouTube channel. Tangled testing. Speaking of YouTube, The Tangled testing channel will start outputting videos here. We've started dropping a few like little shorts of the new testing machine and that kind of thing. So those have started coming out on the Slant 3D channel. They will start going more often to the Tangled testing channel. We are testing Tangled PLA because that's what we have laying around. We are going to be doing we're going to start cranking out a whole bunch of other tests here quite soon. So there's that. Okay, let's see here. Etsy updates. So the Etsy plugin that allows anybody to connect to our print farm and connect it to their Etsy store to print and ship has hit a good piece of stability. We're getting real close to crossing a few milestones that we have for ourselves as far as internal metrics about reliability and sustainability and that kind of stuff, and making sure that we're chasing down any sort of friction that you guys have been running into. Because this thing is meant to be a resource for Etsy stores and small businesses so that you guys are able to grow and scale without having to worry about production. If we are causing problems, we are screwing up and causing problems. And no business should have a supplier that causes problems for them. Suppliers are supposed to be a reliable resource. If you get a supplier, it's because they can do it better than you would do it yourself. That is the point of a supplier. Amazingly enough, a lot of suppliers do not meet that criteria. We're trying not to be one of those. So anyhow, the Etsy integration is hitting a plateau of reliability to where it's like, cool, we're up to this rung of the ladder. So we will start feature releases again. Catalog, of course, will keep on expanding to where you can get a hold of prints that you might not otherwise get a hold of. And we will also be, we recently released email updates, which give you guys a better bead on what is happening inside of the app. So it's like, hey, you made a sale. Hey, the item shipped, that kind of stuff. Those notifications are going out so that you guys can keep a better eye on us. Of all this stuff and have really good feedback on the app. Because we had the main dashboard there, but you would have to enter it and access it. We didn't really have email notifications in because, quite frankly, we didn't want to spam you. But here, while the app is early and while people are trying it out and getting used to it, those email notifications are useful. So there's that. Okay, let's see here. There are more updates coming soon, probably around color. So those will be coming out very soon for the Etsy application. All right, Tangled up. No. Tangled, as of time of filming here, 1 kgs are caught up, 3 kg spools we've had a supplier slow to deliver. So 3 kg spools are a little bit held up. We may do a format change on those in order to get them caught up. But those will be good, and then 1 kg will be able to go out of... Actually, 1 kg will go out of pre-order today. Because, we'll be able to... we'll be shipping on time and all the rest of it. Good for us, yay! But yes, they're predominantly caught up. 3 kg spools are a tad delayed because we're waiting for more spools. I'm going to blame all you guys because you've been ordering way too much, and we haven't been keeping up with it. It's all your fault. This, you people. Shame on you. But no, like for real, thank you guys so much for supporting the Tangled project. It does help us continue to grow and improve it. Right now, we discussed this last week, but we're making the moves to go to spoolless 1 kg filament. So we're working on that, but it's going to be a long road to hoe because that is a thing. However, in revamping again, getting caught up with the supplier of the spools, man, wouldn't it be great if we just eliminated the spools? It'd make our life so easy. Because now we don't have to deal with that supplier. And I don't want to bash folks. Everybody goes to work and does what they do. But my goodness, it is frustrating when an organization does not want to try to be better. Like if that's not just one of the goals of an organization, to try to be better. That's literally the job of a successful company. But there are these areas in industry and in businesses in general, quite frankly, a lot of folks don't have the implicit goal of trying to get better. They're trying to make money or trying to have a better life and all that. And those are perfectly legitimate motivations. But if you're creating a business that you want to be successful for any sustained amount of time, you have to want to be better. Because if you're not getting better, someone else will lap you. Some jerk will come in and drop the price of PLA through the floor and jack with you. So there's all that kind of, it's always surprising when I run into an organization that is so bureaucratic that they're like, you have to fax us the check. Literally, this happens. It wasn't the check. It was the PO. Like, email us, fax us the PO. I was like, really? It probably wasn't a fax. Probably had to scan it, email it over to them, the scan over to them, rather than sending an email or the rest of it. Or I had to mail a check rather than pay them with a card or a wire or something like that. Just a lot of cumbersomeness in these old places. So like spool makers are really like this. They are one step above fax when they could literally just be a PayPal button and the job would be done. And but the thing is, I'm not sure that they would sell more or less than that. Improving the customer support on that wouldn't necessarily, or the customer experience wouldn't necessarily increase their sales, because there's thousands of people out there trying to buy 3D printing spools. There's 200 companies that they engage with, and they sell them a pallet, and that's it. And those 200 companies are not really going to go anywhere else. These guys. Like, where else are we going to get spools? Well, that person over there. Or you can go to the one other guy who has a different spool that doesn't fit, or whatever it was. So anyhow. But it's always interesting. That was all meant to be about Tangled, but I got sidetracked. It is a segue, though, to something we've been discussing and something that's been coming by with Tangled. Since it is both a new brand and experimental. Like, when you buy Tangled filament, you're effectively running a test that I'm telling the truth to you and that kind of stuff. So, and that's perfectly legitimate. And in that, we have to earn that respect and also take our lickings. So right now with Tangled, I sent an email to the person who handles customer support for Tangled there. And it's basically, if there is a problem with a spool that a person emails you about, whatever it happens to be, refund that spool. If there's a problem with a full order, immediately refund that full order. Just off the bat. Don't ask them why. Don't ask for photos, whatever it happens to be. If there's an issue, just refund it directly. The reason for this, and this got into kind of a deep philosophical conversation, because generally when you're in an organization and you're talking about this type of a, not return policy, just radical refund customer support, the conversation always goes to monetary, which is, are you going to refund an order? That means somebody could just say, I want filament's bad, need refund, and their filament's fine. And they're just kind of, people always worry about the fraud. And that's perfectly legitimate, and it is stupid expensive when that happens. However, two things with this. Number one, we're new. So we have to learn to deal with the fraud, because if we didn't, the danger of alienating or causing a bad customer experience is bad, because that person will never come back to us. There are a lot of other filaments to shop from. So Tangled has to be, we have to be above and beyond what other people do. The conversation with, and that was interesting, because we were like, oh, Chinese manufacturers, if you buy filament from Amazon from a Chinese manufacturer, it's into the ether. You take or leave whatever you got. You might return it to Amazon or something like that, but like quality of filament, you don't really return it. It's like you're stuck with what you get. And if you buy it for uber cheap off the manufacturer's site, you're really stuck with what you get. Whereas we as a US company are very often required to be held to a higher standard because we speak English. And I hate to say it like that, because that sounds belittling. But it's like, yes, a US company doing something that a Chinese company also does is generally not only has to match price, quality, so on and so forth of China, which we should. I'm not getting around that. I absolutely should. This is part of the reason we created Tangled, is to prove that US companies can do that. But then we also are expected to stay on the phone with customers for an hour. That's a little unfair. To want bargain basement prices and then also want attention for hours, that is unfair. And it's unsustainable, because if you want bargain basement prices, we cannot have someone spend an hour explaining what temperature to print it at when the temperature's on the box. Again, not whining with this. I'm talking through this problem of customer service. Customer service is a very expensive component of product cost that generally does not appear in the bill of materials. That all being said, the premise that we've taken with Tangled is just to have incredible customer service to such a degree that we're trying to figure out, okay, somebody buys Tangled, and yes, they bought it for $10 a spool. Fine, we're there, we got that. Other people will do that because it's doable. The math lets you do that. The only reason it's not done right now is because folks haven't scaled up. We're just the first ones harping on it. But once it's down at $10 per spool, now we're all competing for the same stuff. So we're like, okay, how can Tangled be special? And wild customer service is a way of doing that. And we've hit on this before with Tangled itself because we're wildly transparent about what we do. We're like, hey, we're late. Don't order anymore. Like, we're very blunt about the situation. And we try not to finagle or anything else. And it's like, hey, we're going to be late. If you need your order back or something like that, just let us know and we'll get it done. And we do that. Or it's like, hey, we cut prices down. We're going to cancel all subscriptions because software doesn't work. And it'd be wrong for us to have subscriptions. So we're very open about that stuff. But we're going to keep on taking it a step further. Few initiatives coming down. We'll continue to improve quality and that kind of stuff here while we're floating around 15, working on Spools, these other optimizations. But those are all functional and they don't really make the filament cool. And, it's really satisfying to unwrap a package and have something cool on the inside. So with Filament right now, we're starting, how much fun it was when you were a kid and you'd open up at like a McDonald's Happy Meal and there was a toy inside of there? Yeah, that. We're going to do that. Inside of every spool of filament, we're going to start, well, maybe not every spool of filament, most of the spools of filament. We're going to start putting stuff. And this is contrary to the goal of save every penny, but we think it's worth it because number one, it can be done affordably to where it only adds like 10, 20 cents to the cost of a spool, which we can eat. It will radically improve the customer experience, we think. And just fun to do. Because when we're doing these kind of things, if we're miserable doing it, it's going to present in the product. If the people working on a project are miserable doing it and aren't having kind of fun throwing stuff at you guys, like delighting the customer, it's so much fun when a customer comes back and says, this was so much fun, this was amazing, love this thing, that kind of stuff. If a customer goes back and is like, then it's like, why are we doing this? For the money? No, we're not doing it for the money. Tangled isn't for the money. Tangled's a break-even project. So it better be fun, at least for us. So part of the fun is putting something in there to where we get to do a little bit of fun. You guys get to have a little bit of fun. So stuff will start showing up inside the spools, starting on orders shipping after the 8th, I think, is when that starts breaking loose. So look out for things in the spools. And if you see a thing in a spool, let us know about it. We'd love to hear if you like the thing in a spool. So there's that. But that is a way of just creating a little bit of spice and sugar on top of what is otherwise vanilla filament. We sell black filament. Like, nothing there. There's nothing particularly special about it. It is PLA filament. Print's good. Yeah. There's lots of other filaments that do that too. We're working to drop the price down to nothing. Great. But still, we'd like it to be a little bit more cool than that. We'd like to play with the customer experience as much as possible. The other thing, though, from a high-level philosophical kind of business level side of this, creating wild customer support optimizes the organization so quickly. Because if you have open and free returns for any reason, it ensures that you create a really high-quality product. It becomes a big forcing function. Hey, guys, 9 out of 10 orders were returned last week. What's the problem? Like, it makes it very noticeable when stuff is going wrong, as opposed to customers are whining about something. It's like, what are you going to do about it? That's bad customer support. But if you have a commitment to really good customer support, it forces you to get better at a very rapid rate, because it can be really expensive if you do really wild type of customer support, like kind of our open return policy and refund policy. Not even return policy, refund policy, where you still get the filament and you're like, it's a thing. And we're like, okay, fine, there's a refund for you. man, we're going to lose so much money this week. Please don't abuse this. Please don't abuse this, guys. But it's something we're going to do. And hold us accountable for it because, hey, I'm saying it here in public. Yeah. So there we are. We're stuck to it. But it also, this other thing with it, if you have wild customer support, there is a financial forcing function within that of like, oh, we can't be on the phone with every person for an hour. That manifests itself inside the product. If you are wanting to have wild customer support, then you have to have very focused and very minimal customer support. And that doesn't mean jilt the customer and try to get them off the phone as fast as possible. It means create a business model which can support that type of customer support. So we would not be able to do this if we had 50 different materials and 20 different colors and all this variation. Because if people ask, what temperature does it print at? You just go down a rabbit hole of trying to educate and train and so on and so forth and give good customer support. But since we're committing here to really good customer support on Tangled, even though we have no margins, man, this is a terrible decision. From a business standpoint, this is a terrible decision. It's going to be so expensive. But it forces us to remain really focused on it. So it's like, oh, we make black filament. We're only going to make black filament. We're going to make it really well, really reliably, so that everybody knows what they're going to get all the time. And that reduces the need for additional customer support because the customer knows what they're going to get, can count on it, and has the resources available to support that one thing. But as soon as you start diversifying and splitting and adding more things, it gets more confusing for the customer, which requires more customer support, which then ruins the customer experience more, which then requires more customer support. So going the opposite direction of trying to minimize customer support or trying to create a more margin-directed system where you're trying to make more money out of people, you almost always create this inefficient system where you either make angry people or you increase the size of your call center so that you lost whatever margin you earned by not having it around. So really, really good customer support forces you to improve quickly because it's a tight feedback loop. And it forces you to directly change and make decisions in the product that enable it so that you minimize the need for additional customer support. So yeah, that was just a few things that came around. It also came up recently again because, oh yeah, you want a book? This place is thing sponsored by Audible. You want a book? A book I've been talking to everybody about is the $1 Billion Brands book. The Story of $1 Billion Brands. This is a book that was written in 2020 before all of them went broke, but it's a very, very good book. And I know that Chris, who's watching this, is going to be like, you should have done that with the edible integration, the Audible integration. I don't care. This is contextual to the thing. You're going to get a free book recommendation. Audible's great. Go use it. But this book goes through Warby Parker, Dollar Shave Club, that kind of stuff. If you're interested in online products, and what made all those guys different. It's a really good read. It's an excellent read. So anyhow, but yeah, wild customer support. It's a very expensive upfront cost, but long-term, it creates a feedback loop that improves the product very quickly. And even though it's expensive upfront, you create a lot of customer loyalty, and it self-optimizes around minimizing support by making sure that the product is well made. Everybody keeps on calling about what temperature to print the filament at. Maybe we should update the label so that the temperature's on it. That kind of a thing, as an example. It just ensures that you are actively engaged and improving the product in all the ways that you can by focusing on the customer. So that's that. Let anybody who is, I don't know what to comment down below, guys. To comment your favorite song, that's the one to do. Looking for recommendations. Don't have anything else. If you have a video that you think we ought to make, comment that too. Other than that, have a great day, everybody.